Today we're going to look at the Tag Heuer AquaRacer chronograph CAJ2110. It's a big watch, guys. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Wristwatch Addiction. I'm Paul. Thanks for stopping by. Please take a minute to subscribe to see more good content. Hope you enjoyed this one. We are looking at a Tag Heuer AquaRacer, a Baselworld release from 2009. This is the 44mm CAJ2110.BA0872. A mouthful. Nonetheless, great watch. Large watch. You have your date, you have your 30-minute counter, you have your sub-seconds, and you have your 12-hour counter, as well as the rubber inserted unidirectional bezel. So a lot going on with this watch. Having the unidirectional bezel as well as a chronograph allows you to time multiple things. So you can be timing with the chronograph and also with the rubber unidirectional bezel. This one, obviously a pre-owned piece. This one was originally a polish and brushed bracelet. Now it's a completely brushed bracelet, but would be fairly easy to get that polish back. Let's wind it out here. The crown, easily windable. It is a screw down crown, obviously at a 500-meter water resistance. Super easy adjustment. Not the quickest time adjustment, but easy nonetheless. If we get that set, we'll go into a date adjustment. So the date is super quick, to the point that I almost went past the date I needed when I did set it. So super easy date function on this piece. And then if we get it back to like 250 here, so we can kind of, or 150, so we can kind of see that whole beautiful dial. We're going to screw that back in. Screws in very effortlessly. You have your unidirectional bezel. Loud bezel, actually. But clicks very nicely and is very secure once you get it where you want it. It is not going anywhere. On the wrist, it's tall, guys. This is a fat watch. This is a 16mm thick watch, which is only 2mm thinner than the Rolex Deep Sea. So big ass watch. We've got these really nice pushers here, though. If we take a look at that, when we push that top right pusher, you can see the smoothness of this caliber 16 movement. The caliber 16 automatic movement is basically a modified Valjoux 7750 movement that's a workhorse in, man, thousands and thousands of watches. It is a Swiss movement. It's an incredible movement. It's actually the same movement that's in my Reverse Panda Speedmaster that I've had on the channel. So definitely a workhorse of the industry, and no complaints there. Fitting it into this very nice, if not really big case. You can see the sub-seconds constantly moving as the center second, the chronograph hand, rotates around the dial. You have your 12-hour subdial as well as a 30-minute subdial on 6 o'clock position and 12 o'clock position. And you can see it just pass over the 12 o'clock. So we're going to go ahead and stop that and reset it. Super quick reset, as all Valjoux. And I'm going to stop calling it Valjoux and refer to it as the 16, the caliber 16. You can see the rubber insert there on the crown, the rubber insert on the bezel to match. Helps with grip. You know, these are going to be in wet environments, obviously. The more grip, the better. Got a 22mm width on the lugs, so that lug width of 22mm allows tons of options as far as bracelets, as far as straps. But like I said, I like the bracelet. 44 millimeter width on the case, and then a huge 16 millimeter height. And the height comes from the bottom, the bottom of the case, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But we have a lug to lug of 52.5, which is pretty much the limit for my 6 3/4 wrist. Anything bigger and it's not going to happen. We have a Cyclops for the date, so you can actually read it as you get to my age, and of course a really nice call out on the sub-seconds with the arrow to make it easier to read, and it matches the arrow on the large second hand, the chronograph hand. So I like the way they have applied those. I don't care for the screws here, the bolts that kind of look like, I don't know, ship's porthole, I think is what they were going for. I don't care for it. I do love that they have roughed up the sides of these pushers as well as the side of the bezel to make it easier to grip, especially in wet, rubbery environments. I do love the clasp. The clasp is fantastic, as well as the bracelet. I wish this one had not been completely polished. I mean, not completely polished, completely brushed. If it was a piece that I was going to keep, I think I would re-polish it because it did look really good as a brushed and polished combo. You can see that centerpiece that was originally polished on the bracelet is actually higher than the two side pieces. So it's a 3D bracelet, which is really cool. If we look down here, you can see the caliber 16, obviously value 7750, great movement, beautiful design that they have kind of modified it to. Looks really good, although you don't see it. This is not a see-through case back on this watch. They did all this and then they didn't do a case back to give you some visuals, but the dial itself is a beautiful visual. I've got a very dirty sapphire crystal on this piece, and you can see the dial is still quite stunning with its sort of multi-layered design. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Seamaster Professional 300 meter from Omega. That it has that sort of, well, it's just not a flat, boring dial. It has that three-dimensional look to it. And I like that they did that on the rubber of the bezel as well. This is a watch that the more I look at it, the more it grows on me. At first I put it on, I was like, God, this is a heavy watch. This is a big watch. I'm not a fan. But the more I think about it, the more I like it. And you can see, I mean, it's tall. It's on the limit for 6 3/4 wrists. This would actually fit better on a 7 to 7 1/4 and above wrist because of this screw down case back on the back, kind of protruding an extra 2 millimeters. It fits fat, and it is heavy, but on this quite heavy steel bracelet, it's not top heavy. It stays in place. I think on leather, it might actually be a little top heavy, so I would recommend staying on the bracelet if it were me. But again, it's really grown on me. I borrowed this from a coworker to do a review on it, and I did not expect to be a fan. And the more I wear it, the more I look at it, the more I like it. 500 meter water resistance, full steel with sapphire crystal, with a Cyclops, with a screw down crown, with the elongated pushers. I mean, you get a lot for not a lot of money. And this piece came out in 2009, and this looks like this could have been made today. So what do you guys think, guys? You like this one? Would you like to see more reviews like this? Let me know. I've got all these watches behind. I'll be glad to review. I've got access to other watches I'll be glad to review. Just let me know what you think. Would you buy this one? And if you would, shoot me a message on Instagram. DM me, because it might very well be for sale.